The Rat King. You hear kings' names bouncing around the roads all the time. Most of it's harmless nonsense. Lords who can't read, dukes who wear their boots on the wrong feet, barons who lose half their treasury to dice throwers and then blame demons. You learn to nod, drink. Let the stories wash over you like rain on a tent. But every now and then, there's a name that doesn't come with laughter. A name that lands on the table like a knife point. The Rat King. That one can sober a drunk faster than cold water. Truth is, I don't even know when I first heard it. Might have been back when I was a green boy with a spear. Might have been whispered by a dying man whose guts were spilling out. It's the kind of name that feels like it was always there, sitting in the dark corner of a tavern, picking its teeth, waiting. He rules half the realm now. Majun, Belgot, Slanich, Nafar. And not the soft ruling where nobles parade around in silk and hunt boar while peasants clap. No. His rule is the kind where people keep their heads down and pray the soldiers ride past their doors without stopping. The kind where a whole village will lie through their teeth for each other because the truth might get them nailed to a tree. Nobody remembers his real name. Nobody dares claim they knew him before. When a man's name gets swarmed by that many rumors, it stops mattering anyway. A king with no name is a king nobody can hold accountable. A shadow, a stain, a shape that grows however it pleases. People call him the Rat King now. Heard from a Belgot spearman, young, twitchy, always smelling like bitterroot, that the Rat King keeps a personal pet. Not a normal rat, nothing small enough to stomp. Supposedly this thing's the size of a mule. White fur in patches, black and oily in others. Tail long enough to coil around a man's leg twice. Teeth dull, not sharp, made for crushing. It lives under the throne, he said. Comes out when the Rat King snaps his fingers. Eats whatever meat is handed to it, no questions asked. Sounds stupid, right? But too many people repeat the same thing for it to die as a joke. And the worst rumors are the ones that no one laughs at. But Nafar, his capital, is a pit. I've seen war camps cleaner. The whole place smells like wet grain and piss. And the rats run the streets like merchants, bold, fat, unbothered. Some even wear little metal rings in their ears, which the locals insist is a sign of royal favor. Gods help us all if rats start outranking people. The keep in Nafar. I stayed outside the walls once, long ago. Didn't go in, didn't want to. Even from the yard you can hear the walls moving, not wind, not settling stone, a constant scratching from inside the bricks. The Rat King had tunnels carved intentionally, hollowed passages right into the masonry so rats can scurry anywhere they please like arteries, like veins, like the keep's heart is always racing. He tortures people with those things. Everyone knows it. No one pretends otherwise. There are stories of rat boxes the size of coffins. They shove a starving brood inside, strap the box to a man's chest, and heat the back with embers. Rats don't like heat. They dig their way out. Men scream until they choke on it. Some live long enough to watch the rats crawl out between their ribs. I've spoken to deserters from Nafar. Some went mad. Some went quiet and never spoke again. One said he saw the Rat King watching an execution while eating cheese and smiling like it was a puppet show. Then there's the Forest of Hate. You won't find it on any map, but every roadman knows where it is. Long stretch of woods where the trees look like crosses from a distance. When you get close enough, you see why. Bodies nailed to them. Dozens. Hundreds. Men, women, children. Whoever was unlucky. Some nailed upright, others upside down. Some spread like butchered deer rats swarm the roots, climbing into the wounds. Takes days for the nailed ones to die, days of screaming until their throats give out, and all that's left is breathing and shuddering. One man I met, an old peddler with a crooked back, claimed he walked through the outskirts once at dusk. Said the rats followed him in a line, sniffing, hoping he'd slow down long enough to be dragged into the trees by the soldiers that guard the place. I don't know if that's true, but the way he described the smell, I still taste it sometimes when the wind comes from the west. His nights are worse than the stories. Vermin in armor, every helm shaped like a rat's skull, long snout, carved teeth, narrow slits for eyes. Some even rub filth into their capes so they smell like the king's chosen. They march under a banner of a black rat on gray cloth. I've never faced them in battle, but I've heard what they do. No charges, no duels, no honor. They swarm a man, bite, stab, claw, drag him down by the joints. They fight like the animals they adore. The Rat King's wife, if she ever existed, didn't last long. The stories go that she tried to escape Nafar, bribed a guard, nearly made it to the river. He caught her, dragged her back, fed her to the rats while the court watched. After that, he swore off human wives, married one of his great rats instead. Maybe true, maybe not, but I've heard too many quiet voices swear it wasn't just a metaphor. Some say he performs union rituals with that creature. The kind of thing priests burn books over. The kind of thing you don't repeat unless you're too drunk to care who hears you. He doesn't tolerate insults, doesn't tolerate jokes, doesn't tolerate smiles made at the wrong time. His spies move through the realm like smoke. No faces, no names, just ears listening in alleys and stalls. A man mutters a joke about rats in a tavern, and by morning his family's gone. Village burned, every survivor dragged screaming to the forest of hate. I've seen the aftermath once, not the burning, just the ruin. Charcoal homes, melted iron, footprints in the ash where soldiers dragged people away, old fires still smoldering. No voices, no dogs, only rats, hundreds, as if called by their king to pick the bones clean. And then there's his taxes. Some towns pay in coin, most don't. Some owe cheese, some owe captured rats, some owe fermented milk. One settlement near Slanich sends their tithes in crates of spoiled grain, specifically meant to attract more rats. When they asked why, the collector told them, His Majesty prefers it rotten. His children walk the realm like pale ghosts. Seen one once, or maybe I think I did, young man, 20 at most, escorted by rat knights. Moved too smoothly, eyes too small, nose too sharp, teeth showing when he breathed. Looked human from a distance, less human the closer he came. Like something halfway through changing. That's what the Rat King does to the world, twists it, warps it, turns men into shadows and shadows into truth. People claim he wasn't always like this. Some say he was sickly as a boy, kept alone in the keep with nothing but rats for company. Some say he was locked underground for a year during a siege, and only the rats kept him alive. Others say he made a deal with something in the dark and came back different. But the oldest story I ever heard, the one that felt too simple not to be true, came from a scarred sellsword outside Belgot. He drank his ale like medicine and spoke low. Said the Rat King wasn't born wicked or clever or mad. Said he was just a man who learned early that rats survive everything. They survive famine, plague, war, winter, kings, priests, gods. Everything dies but rats. And maybe, the sellsword said, that's what the Rat King wanted. To be the last thing living when the rest of us rot. I don't know if any of this is true. I don't know how much is rumor or fear or the kind of madness that grows in dark places without sun. But I know this much. Wherever the Rat King rules, the world feels smaller, colder, like the air's been chewed up before you breathe it in. And every year, more houses kneel, more trees fill with nailed bodies, more rats scurry where people ought to stand, some kings expand their realm. The Rat King infests his. And if the stories keep spreading, it won't be long before the whole damned world smells like Nafar's walls. If you've stomped this far through the mud with me, you're either half mad or made of sterner stuff than most. Either way, the company could use folk like you, so fall in with the rest of us. Tighten your straps, shoulder your pack, and join the line. And if these filthy old stories keep your mind sharp on the march, then scratch your mark in the ledger down below with a like. Let me know you're still alive and listening. Those who wish to stick with the company, subscribe, as the quartermaster calls it, so you don't lose the trail. Stories don't wait for stragglers. Now, get some rest. We march at first light.